appreciate you taking the time to watch me. It is Saturday, 11/17. So I think last week I didn't go live, but I think I did go live Monday. But I am trying to be more consistent where I'm holding myself accountable, where, I'm saying I'm going to be live on the weekends for a little bit. So typically I'll try to go live from 11 or 12, and then it will range in anywhere from 30 minutes up to an hour, depending how many of you guys joined the live. So appreciate it if you guys subscribe, if you guys turn on your notifications, and then join me when I go live, because it makes the time go by a lot quicker. Alexa, lower. I like to have like a little bit of music in the background for me where it's not so like awkward. I think of it, I've said it before, like if I'm at a bar situation. But today's topic I kind of wanted to stick to is just lawn care struggles. What are you guys dealing with as a small lawn care? What struggles, do you feel like you're facing? And then we'll try to stay in that topic, but we'll see. Just drinking Americano. I did have a coffee already earlier this morning. So I feel like I just need something to sip on during these lives as well. But spring's here, in my area. We're in my area this whole week, I think it was in the 60s or 70s, and then next week we have 2 days that we're gonna be in the 80s. So it's kind of like, it's a little crazy how hot, it's warming up real quick down here. I did just finish filming a video with one of my buddies. We went over his 2026 lawn care setup. I had a blast. I want to say thank you to Sean for taking the time to go out there and meet up, and we made it happen. I should be posting it hopefully next week. I'm waiting on him to he's going to be recording a video on his end. That way we can kind of like post it at the same time. But maybe it'll be something I do, so if you live in Georgia, you guys want to go over your lawn care setups. If you don't live too far, we can make something happen. I'm in Sharpsburg, Georgia, but if you guys are willing to travel, closer to where I'm at, we can get together, go over your setup, because I feel like a lot of people, especially during this time, are interested in what we're running. What equipment do we prefer? What equipment do we kind of like shy away from? And kind of just learn from it. Phoenix says hi. Welcome, Phoenix. How are you? I'm doing good. The baby just went to sleep. That's why it's kind of hard for me to go on live, because like sometimes like my whole schedule has to be around, the baby when she goes down on her nap, because obviously I can't be going on live and then you hear, my baby kind of going crazy in the background. But she just went down. The goal is to, like I said, like go live for like 30 minutes, and then I got a few other things to do. But we'll see. Jose Rodriguez, hey Manny, what do you think about Wright mowers? So when it comes to mowers in general, I'm biased because I've only had John Deere, which is the riding lawn mower, and then I moved over to, then I switched to Skag. But honestly, it doesn't depend. I really don't care about the what brand of mowers you get or you go with. It honestly depends on your dealer support, because with whatever product, whatever mower equipment you buy, eventually it's gonna break down. You're gonna have to do maintenance on it. So it really depends on your dealer support. For me, I went with Skag over John Deere because my John Deere dealership was about like 40 minutes away, and my Skag dealership was like 20 minutes away. And my dealership only offers Skag and Exmark and Ferris, I believe. And I kind of just went in blindly, and I was like, okay, this mower looks pretty good, and I ended up buying Skag. So, I would look at the reviews on your dealership, call them, ask them, what happens when it breaks down. Do they offer loaners? things like that. But if you're buying used, um, you're starting off and you have to buy a used mower. Same thing, does your nearest dealer work with right, or are you a handyman where you feel you can fix it right away? Um, I think, I honestly don't know. For me, Skag hasn't given me any issues, but and I've had three Skag mowers and none of them have really given me any issues except just the regular maintenance. Um, I mean, unfortunately, I can't really help you. I know a lot of guys, everyone has their preference. They have Skag, John Deere, Exmark, so it just depends, unfortunately, on your dealer support. But again, just focus on your dealer support. It's more important than the brand of mower. But when I was doing my research, Skag, it seemed like Skag and Ferris were like the top two that I kept constantly getting like positive feedback with, and my dealer just happened to offer Skags. Cool Foxes. Many people secretly fear heaven will be boring if eternity is a place of endless pleasure. Psalm 16:11. What is one earthly joy you hope is amplified 1,000 times over there? Hmm. I guess I haven't really thought about because I just started my religious journey with getting closer to God. But that is a very good question. I'm a little puzzled. You guys can kind of like see my like I'm trying to think um the question, or trying to find the answer in my brain and whatnot. Hmm. I guess just to meet meet my family, get reunite with the people that I've loved, or even how I think of it is people that I've just crossed paths with, just talking, to some of my clients, or at the gas station or store, and I really don't know how like my conversations impacted, or just like our interaction impacted them in such a positive way. And what I think of when I'm going to die is like my family and everyone that I've ever interacted with, like a group of people, just like waiting for me, and I'm kind of like walking towards them, and I just see like thousands of people that have just been waiting for me to get there. Um, I've never gotten asked that question. I appreciate it. I'm still a little. Hmm. But yeah. I'm even reading it again. So it says, many people secretly fear heaven will be boring if eternity is a place of endless pleasure. Psalm 16:11. What is one earthly joy you hope is amplified 1,000 times over there? Yeah, I think just meeting just meeting my loved ones. Um, hmm. And I just think that because of we're I just don't think I have the capacity to even wrap my mind about like the feelings or emotions that I'm going to go through when I go to heaven. But I'll tell you this, like as I gotten closer to God, like there's days where like I'm driving or I'm out there working, or I'm showering, and I've really been better at like just listening to like gospel music, Christian music, um, and I'll just start crying. I'll start crying because of how loved I feel by God. Like I can feel His presence around me. I can actually like feel Him like hugging me, and I just start bawling out, and I start like thanking Him. I start telling Him, "Thank you for loving me," and then I start praying, and I honestly think that's just like a glimpse of what's to come. Um, but thank you. Um, cool Foxes. In your opinion, why does God or the universe allow bad guys or suffering to exist in a world that can be so beautiful? Um, you do have to understand, and again, I'm barely diving into all this, but you do have to keep in mind, like we have free will. If I want to go out there and cause evil and do some bad stuff, I can walk out my door right now and make it happen. You know, God gave us free will, but in His image, and he's not a creator that's like a dictator where he's like, I want a perfect world where everyone worships me. I don't, we're robots, right? And he didn't want that, nor would I want that. We're slaves to him. We're slaves to his commandments, or we're slaves to good. Um, and he gave us free will to kind of like do what we want to do. Um, and because we do have free will, um, a lot of us, we all sin. We all sin. Some sin more than others. But for me, as I've gotten older and I've gotten closer to God, I've started listening to podcasts, trying to read the Bible a little bit more. You know, it feels like the closer I've gotten to God, like the more, what's that, like conviction I have on myself, where I was like, okay, like I shouldn't be eating all this junk food. Like I shouldn't indulge in gluttony. Like I shouldn't be an asshole to other people. Um, I shouldn't watch porn. I shouldn't be doing this and that. Not because not because like God's telling me not to, but because my relationship with Him is growing. That I want to kind of like live by with him. And I know that if I want to really be living with him and feel, like I was just saying, those moments where I feel his presence, if I want more of that, like I know I need to change the way I'm living, the way I am. um and I don't even know where I was going. I gotta reread the question, because about me. I'll um i'll go on tangents, and I'll get off topic and keep blabbing. um oh, why does God allow bad stuff or suffering to exist in the world? Um, but I think as you get closer to God, like you start, the conviction gets to you more. And if you are feeling, and it's kind of like, when I was drinking, or when I would get drunk, like I went, I would drink or get drunk because I wanted that like buzz feeling, and I wanted to feel like buzz. I just like the feeling. But then afterwards, like, I had a hangover, and if I continue, I would get cirrhosis. My liver would I would start damaging my liver, and then I would kill myself. And it's things like that where um maybe he's telling us not to do things because he knows where it leads to, and it leads to us killing ourselves. And as I've gotten closer to him, like the conviction gets to me where it's like, yeah, I'll fail. I'm going to keep failing, but maybe for me it'll be like, okay, I went 2 weeks without drinking, and then I'll have a couple beers, and then I feel so bad and convicted that next time it's 3 months, next time it's 6 months, and then eventually I just stop. And now I just drink every now and then, but only on special occasions, like if I have family over, because I am obviously Mexican. Um, my whole culture is drinking, kind of. And I thought it was normal. I thought it was just everyone drinks like we drink. And it turns out a lot of people don't, and it's actually bad for you. Irvin, how long have you been doing lawn care? This is gonna be my third year going full time, but I started Wheezy Weeds like 5 years ago, and then I was um, pretty much I went 2 years, 2 years and a half doing it part time, and then on my second to third year, I left my 9 to 5 job to do this full time, and this will be my third year going full time. So I did, like, the topic was, like, what are some things that you guys struggle with lawn care um, when you're starting off, and for me it was um, kind of being like wishy washy with like everything. Like if a lot of people would say like, hey, we're actually looking for someone to come out every 3 or 4 weeks, I'd be like, okay. Or if someone said like, hey, can I pay you with Zelle or Cash App, I'd be like, okay. Like I was very like bending what is it, bending backwards or over backwards for a lot of my first time clients because I just wanted the job. And and I was just so desperate for the work. But now that I've kind of been in the game a little bit longer, now I'm kind of like tightening those loose screws. I don't know if you guys saw my a short that I just uploaded where this client that I was servicing back in last year reached out again to me, and pretty much I stopped servicing this client's property because he was always paying late. So I'm billing at the beginning of the month, but at that time, like I just send you a link, right? Like I'll send you a link of your payment. You click on it, you put your information, and then that's it, right? But now I'm doing it where like I need a card on file. I'm doing the transactions for them because a lot of the times like people will look at the invoice and be like, I'll get to it, and then 2 3 weeks later go by and I haven't gotten paid. And that's exactly what happened with this client. Is I send it at the beginning of the month, and during this time I'm only going once a month. And then after like 2 weeks, like we were gonna go out and do all our once a month properties, and I was like, he never paid, so I deleted the invoice and I just took him off my schedule. I didn't say anything because like in my mind, like I know, especially in my area, like there's no need for me to go out there during the dormant season. But as a business, like I need some type of revenue to keep me afloat and keep my expenses and keep up with my expenses. But anyways, he never paid the invoice, so I took him off my schedule and I didn't say anything because like it is what it is. It's during the off season, so whatever. And then he sends me a message this week saying like, "Hey, we haven't heard from you guys, or we haven't seen you. Do I owe you an invoice?" And pretty much I told him the whole story, like why I took him off my route, and that if he wants to be added back, um, he I need a card on file, and now I'm billing it at the beginning of the month, and silence. And it's kind of like it's even now like it's kind of funny. It's like okay, like it's like you're asking for to be added back to the service or to my schedule, but once you realize like okay, like he's kind of like grown or now he has systems in places, and never mind, I'll find another schmuck, someone that is all over the place like how I used to be that first couple years. Um, let's see, Irvin. Okay, yeah, I've been doing 16 years, been full time for 8 years now. That's beautiful. Hopefully, I make it to 16 for 16 years. Um, how old were you when you started? And then 16 years, are you still solo? Are you thinking of expanding? Um, 16 years is a long time. So I figure by 16 years, you would either scale up and have a few crews, or you try doing the whole, few crews and employees and realize that's not for me. I'm just sticking to being solo. And then Irvin again. Yeah, I did that at the beginning as well. Now I'm picking and choosing the yards I want for the best profit. Yeah, and I think that's how that's what a lot of us do. Is like when we start off, we're kind of like desperate for just any work, and as we continue to grow, um, we get a little bit pickier. We start increasing our prices. We're at the part where we're no longer shortchanging ourselves. Um, what used to take me all day, now I do it in, what I used to make in like a full day, now I'm doing half a day with less jobs and stuff. So we start, everything starts to like click and everything starts to work. But for me, um I only got and again, I'm just starting this year, so I only got to this place because I realized like okay, like I know I have to like take a few L's the first year or two to at least get some traction. Because for me, how my thinking was like back then was like, well, I either underbid everyone by like 20 30% and get the job, or I go back home, sit on the couch, and kind of like hope for some type of work. Um, and that's another thing that I'm going to upload in the next few days, is how to get clients. Um, and it's when you start off, it's very hard for you to get like those first few clients. And obviously you're so eager and desperate. You're like, I need more clients. Like, how do I get more clients? And you're out there asking, different people on social media, like, hey, how do I get more clients? And they all give you like the bullshit answer, like, hey, just do good work, communicate, show up, and you're like, okay, well, I can do all that, but you still didn't answer my question. But it really is just show up and do good work, and those first couple clients um, will text their cousins, their mom and dad, their grandma, like, hey, this person did it for like pretty cheap. Like, if you have any work done, like, I'm giving you his number. And then, like I said, then you start realizing, like, I can't keep doing this. I can't be out here for like 2 hours charging $80, even though it is technically speaking like $40 an hour. But, after expenses and whatnot, you're not really making that much. But because you're starting off, you're just like grateful. I remember my first job I had was like one of my first big jobs was this older guy that owns a liquor store in Sonoya. He used to, and I went to buy something for work because it was right down the road from my work, and we ran out of something, so I had to go buy something. And he was charging me, and I was like, hey, I started my own lawn care, give my business. I was like, if you have any work, I'd be happy to stop by, give you a quote. And this guy had like, how many, like 20 shrubs, like going up his driveway. It was a big driveway. He had like 20 overgrown shrubs. He's like, yeah, he's like, like, I'm looking for someone to just trim them. I think I charged him like 150. I was there all day. But for me, like, I was just so happy, being out there trimming his shrubs, and I was like, oh, I'm making 150 a day, like, that's good money. Um, and now looking back, I was like, damn, like, he got a good deal out of me. But it's like jobs like that like made me just like realize, like, hey, like if I keep this up, like, I can kind of like see where it's going. And that's something that me and Sean were talking about yesterday in his video. Like, people don't realize how much money you can make just doing lawn care, where you're making more than managers, or in my case was what I used to make as a general manager for my company, working a lot less. Jose, how do you keep track of who's paid and who hasn't? So that's a good thing about QuickBooks, is that it tells you. So like, when I send the invoice, it'll tell me if it's been viewed, if it's been paid. Then if it's been viewed, I'm able to send like a follow-up email, like, hey, like a reminder kind of, and they get like a text like, oh, Wheezy Weeds is reminding you for a unpaid balance or whatever. But as I keep growing, or anyone, as you keep growing, like I don't want to keep track of like who's paid, who hasn't paid. Like, it's easier for me to like take like a one day, couple hours one day, and then just bill everyone for ongoing services, and then I just show up, do my work, and then on to the next one. Because then like I'm just tired of chasing money that's owed for me, and it's like, are we gonna make this happen? Do you want my business? Do you want my services? And they're like, okay, yes. I was like, but then why are you taking forever? Why are you taking 2 weeks to pay an invoice that I did? Um, so now I'm at the point where it's like, you want to do business with me? Give me your card on file, and then I'll just bill it at the beginning of the month. I give them, obviously, their total, so they know how much their monthly bill is going to be, and they can budget and whatnot. Crawfish, how you doing? I'm doing good. Like I said, the baby just went down. Um, Trying to be more consistent on going live and trying to answer some questions, or just chit chatting with y'all. Because I know when you're solo and you've been doing it for years, like, I'm sure it gets lonely. For me, like, I like being alone, but sometimes you just need to talk to the bros. Sometimes you need to, hey, I can't believe, guess what happened to me. You need those moments. You need that social interaction. And what's better to just tell a random guy that you are never going to meet, you know? Crawfish, do you have any suggestions on logo designer? No, I think, just with anything, just Google and see who offers that. I know There's two. Etsy. I think if you go on Etsy, you can find someone. The other one is Fiverr. I used Fiverr my first time, and then my whole, like, if you look at my Trailer Gate, the animated character, you can find someone that does that for you. But nowadays, we have ChatGPT. Just have ChatGPT to, take a selfie or have someone take a picture of you and upload it to ChatGPT. Say like, hey, make me a PDF of me and an animated character, and it does it for you, and it's cheap, it's free. So that's what I would do, right? Like today, I would just use ChatGPT and have him do me an animated character, because I think this was obviously before ChatGPT or any AI. I paid someone like $200 to make mine, um, but um, but that's what he did. He just gave me the PDF file, and I used it for my door hangers, my business cards, um, all my trailer signs and whatnot. But yes, you do need a design, something that, um, because everyone has like the little leaf or grass, and you need something that where you kind of stick out. And for me, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna put myself in a mower, the mower that I use, which is Gag, and it works. Irvin. So Irvin's talking to Jose. It says, Jose, I use Invoice Simple. It's cheap and keeps it all organized, and you can send estimated invoices. Yeah, I think you're gonna need a CRM system, you know, as you keep growing. Because say if you're waiting for them to pay you with Zelle or Cash App, which is probably what's happening. Um, you service 50 people and everyone's doing that. Like, of course, you're going to lose track. You have to go, but like, hey, did this person back? And then you got to go back and forth from your, looking at your account and your list of who has paid, who hasn't paid. And you're spending, what, like 30 minutes trying to see who hasn't paid, who's paid. And it's funny how, like, a lot of people, um, they want the work done quick, right? Like, hey, I'm going to get an HOA fine, or hey, I need this done by next week or by this week. And then as soon as you're done, silence. And then you're wondering like, am I gonna get paid? Am I not? You know, they they just treat us they treat us like shit sometimes. And that's why again, you need systems in places. You need a CRM system. I did get another comment to talk to, if I can go into like my service agreement or contract, like what are my thoughts. So I'll work on a video about that. But you need like a service agreement. I really don't think you need like a contract for residential properties. I think, you know, how I think of it, I think like a lot of like homeowners, as soon as they hear the word contract, like like it steers away, because it's kind of like you're fully committed into doing business with me, which isn't a bad thing. But I think like a lot of people, I don't know. I feel like you have to be really busy, or you have to have a good bit of clients to go that route, because you're not going to land. You'll probably land like 2 out of 10 calls. And for me, it's like, do I want to risk it? Do I want to gamble that? Where yes, I'm gonna get two good clients, but out of 10, it's like I'm not there yet, unfortunately, because I still want to keep growing. I still want to get more jobs. So I just do like a service agreement. Jose Rodriguez, how soon do you think a small company should wait to start paying for all these programs like QuickBooks or Yardbooks? I I would say if you have more than 15 accounts, I would do it. If you have more than 15 yards, that's when you should do it. Because again, it's not that expensive. Yardbook is free. You just got to take the time to like really get to know um, their platform. QuickBooks is $30 a month, and then plus, both of them you have to pay like a processing fee. So typically it's like 3 to 4%. But just keep that in mind whenever you're giving out a quote. Just add like 5% to your estimate, or 3 or 4% to cover the processing fee. I think for me, I waited till I had like 20 accounts, but going back, if I have 15, I would just pull the trigger. And again, like even for QuickBooks, like $30 is not a lot, and you stand out. Like especially like it might have been less than 25 because I remember like one comment that I was constantly getting, because they'd be like, "Oh, do I just pay you with, can I just cash app you?" And I'd be like, "No, I'll text you or I'll email you the invoice or your invoice." And a lot of the feedback that I got back was like, "Oh, like you're a legit like a legitimate you're a legit business." I'm like, "Yeah." So very early on for me, I treated my business like if I was like a big business, even though I wasn't, even though I only had like a few accounts. But it's like, for me, like appearances has always been a big thing. I want to wear the uniforms. I want to wear my logos. I want a nice setup. I have the CRM systems in places where I do look like a big business, even though I'm not. I mean, they don't know, and that's especially you know even now. A couple weeks or last week, I got a call from this lady saying like, "Hey, do you just text me? Do you just call me when you're gonna service my property?" I was like, "Ma'am," I was like, "No," I was like, I have over 100 accounts right now, even though I don't, right? But she doesn't know. But like the point is like I'm trying to make her see my like my point of like I'm trying to see her. I'm trying to sorry. I'm trying to make her see like my point, right? Or where I'm at or where I'm going to be eventually. It's like, no, ma'am, I have 100 accounts, even though I don't. I have like 50. But even 50, but I was like, I have 100 accounts. Like I cannot text everyone the day before, like, hey, you're on the schedule for tomorrow. And I've talked about this as well, but I'm just there to cut your grass. It's different. Okay, it's only different if they're old and pay with a check because they're older people, or if they have a gate that's locked and they have to unlock it. I'll, if they have dogs or whatever, I'll text them the day before. But other than that, I'm just gonna show up, cut your yard, make sure it looks good, and then move on to the next one. But she's like, no, no, and she didn't. Because I did like one cleanup with her during fall. And she was just reaching out again to see if I can add her to my schedule for the upcoming season. But I was like, no, I was like, I don't, I'm busy. I'm going to keep getting busier where, yes, it may only take like a minute, right? But say when I do have 100 clients, like that's 100 minutes. That's over an hour of me just texting people. I was like, no. But before I'd be like, yeah, I'll text you the day before. I'll text you the morning. I'll text you when I'm on my way there, because again, I was just in a different part of my business, I was just starting off. And that's okay if you're there too, but realize that like that's not sustainable in the long run. Crawfish, same. I'm just starting out and only have a few accounts, and I wear a plain orange work shirt every time I service my properties. I just feel more professional. Yes, and it's kind of like where's your mindset at? Even if you have a few accounts, but if you're treating your business like these other big businesses, it's only a matter of time for you to get there because you're already like envisioning your future. You're kind of like manifesting it. You're making it into reality. You can see it in your mind. It's gonna come to life. It's gonna flourish. And and that's another thing that a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people that are athletes, a lot of people that are successful, they're like, if you can see it in your mind, if you can speak it, it's going to happen. And it's crazy. um, even now, like back then when I had first few clients, I was like, I can see where this is going. I can see where I can be in a few years, and I'm getting there. But if you're not taking it serious, if you're just kind of like, I wear black pants today, blue pants tomorrow, black shirt today, yellow shirt tomorrow, you're not taking it serious. Like you're not in the right mindset where it's like, if it works out, it works out. If not, it doesn't. But when you're wearing uniform, where you take the time to do a nice setup, your logos, this and that, like you're in that right mindset where it's like, okay, I'm gonna take this to the moon and back, and it's just a matter of time. Like anything, you're consistent, you're persistent, you keep showing up. You're gonna take some L's, but learn from it, and then you'll be where I'm at, if not even further. What's taken me 5 years, it might take you 2 years. Because everyone's gonna go through the same ups and downs. We're gonna go through the same things, but only because I've been, if I've been doing it longer, you still might pass me in a year or two. And there's a lot of people that, only had like 2 accounts or 5 accounts, and they left their 9 to 5 job and did this. And what's taken me 5 years, it took them that year, where it's like failure is not an option for me. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to go out there, knock on these doors. I'm going to be posting. I'm going to be doing Nextdoor, Facebook, Google, Craigslist, whatever. And they have that drive in them, and ultimately it leads them to being further ahead than where I'm at. Um, but yeah, I was doing the same thing. I would go to Walmart. I would get some pants that's like $20, so some khaki pants, black shoes, and then just a plain yellow shirt. Or it's called safety green, but to me it just looks like yellow. Um, and that's what everyone. I was like, that's what everyone else wears. That's what these big companies wear. So I'm just gonna mimic them. And and then that way, like, you're training your clients, like, oh, even though they don't see you, but they might see like the back of you, like, oh, Manny's here because he's using his uniform or whatever. You just look more professional. Very true. That's how I feel. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, uniforms. Just the way just the way you hold yourself. Your appearances and stuff like that. Like, it plays a big factor. And there's a lot of guys out there that don't, and that's okay too. You run your business how you want. I'll run my business how I want. I'm just telling you guys my thinking. I'm telling you what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. And you guys shouldn't just listen to me. Like, go out there, do your research, watch other people, watch other content creators, and it shouldn't be like, well, Manny told me to do this, so I'm gonna do that. Like, no, like, I'm telling you, have an open mind. Take a little bit, take a little things from Manny, take a little things from Grow It, take a little things from Sean or whatever, whoever you watch, but because what I'm saying might work in my area, but it might not work in your area. You know, I don't know your situation. I don't know your area. There's other people out there that you might relate to a little bit more than what I'm saying. Crawfish. Plus, it's good to be seen in high vis shirts because people speed down my neighborhood. Yeah, that's another thing. What is it? Safety reasons. You know. Yeah. Typically, it's the high vis. I'm trying to think what's the word, but I know what you're saying. Um, yeah, you stand out. But for me, a lot of people wear it because it absorbs less light. So you don't get, you're maybe like a degree or two cooler by wearing, a yellow shirt or safety green, opposed to wearing like a black or dark shirt. But a lot of people will still wear like a black shirt during summer because it looks better. Like, I don't care. I look good. I look sharp. I'm gonna wear black or gray or blue. You know. But I think that's it for this live. I'll try to be back tomorrow. Appreciate everyone that joined. Definitely makes time go a little bit quicker, and I always appreciate talking to you guys. So I do appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed, like, but I'll see y'all tomorrow.